Hello and welcome back to On Volume 6, the channel designed around educating you, the content consumer, on the overlap between Jungian theory and objective personality theory in terms of what constitutes a psychological function and what constitutes a psychological type. And by doing this, or in doing this, we will go over common notation, formal notation, and theory, structure, and applications / practice. This entry was specific and it was useful because this was a what is it called? Like a coming together, a full circle entry after we went through so many different diatribes in the series, to almost 2 hours long, speaking about objective personality, speaking about Jungian theory, and making an attempt to bridge that gap between extroverted feeling, feminine extroverted feeling, masculine extroverted feeling, and how we go from psychological functions to psychological types. In so doing, I decided to write out some title first contents. And this is one of the contents that I've picked up in terms of title first content: how I learned to visualize an objective personality type, 512. And so I started here in terms of common notation with the type I originally self-typed myself as, and then I moved it on to the type that I was formerly typed in terms of formal notation. And the Grant function stack for that type. So this is my type: masculine, feminine, NETI, consume, sleep, blast, play, number 3. In my Grant function stack is a feminine NE, masculine TI, feminine FE, and masculine SI. That is my Grant function stack. Why? Because it includes my attitude orientation, my function type, and my sexual modality. So one contributes to the other, In this context, we're talking about a visualizing type in objective personality. So why did I write this as common notation? I wrote it as common notation because it's not a whole type yet, because we have yet to include the animal functions. Am I right or am I right? This is only a skeleton of a Grant function stack. So what do I have to do next? What do I have to think next? Next, we move on to the main meat and potatoes. I wanted to be able to... This is how I stumbled upon animal function temperaments, because I needed a way to fix ordonance. I'm trying to think if I have a title with the proper spelling so that I can just click into it. Yeah, I think I lost the thread. But it was just like to be able to say MF NETI, consume, sleep, blast, play, number 3. How do you visualize that? How do you create a way to visualize a 512 type versus a 2048 type? This is what I put in terms of common notation. This is what it's in terms of formal notation. This is what's in terms of common notation. This is how I visualize a psychological type. 1 to 2 OENT consume. 2 to 4 DIST sleep. 3 to 4 DESF blast, and 1 to 3 OENF play. I'm here with this word. I'm here with this toil. And this I'm running. So it makes me think, is this a new grant function stack? Is this a new, like, what does this represent in relation to this over here? What? Okay, so now that I'm pretty spaced out and not really willing to devote any more psychic energy to this for the day, what are we talking about? Where do we start with all of this? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Talking about Jungian theory. Talking about objective personality theory. And that overlap. The 2 points of overlap are in the intellectual property that objective personality brings to the forefront in terms of their theory. And the first is that they're taking a splitter's conceptualization on Jung's psychological functions. I repeat, they're taking a splitter's conceptualization on Jung's psychological functions. And they're adding animal functions as a higher order combinatoric, thereby linking and fusing functions together in terms of psychological functions. Once these psychological functions are fused, the different orderings of how their energetic impact echoes can allow you to stack a similar grant function stack with a different attitude orientation, thereby rendering a different psychological type from the same psychological functions. Jungian theory, 8 psychological functions. Objective personality theory, 16 psychological functions. 3 psychological functions, psychological types. 4 psychological type is common notation. I repeat, psychological type is common notation. Common notation. When we come back, we're going to do a brief once-over and start going through the rest of these title first contents. But in this context, I just wanted to close this out by saying where I started in terms of visualizing an objective personality system type. I started in terms of in terms of formal notation, And then I built into common notation because I wanted to isolate and identify, well, what does it mean to be using NT consume? What type of NT consume is that? And what's the difference between 1 to 2 OE NT consume and 1 to 2 DI NT consume? Is it just observers versus deciders at that point? Is it NE versus TI? Does it matter if I lead FM in the energy animal, in the info animal, or if I lead double masculine, double feminine in the energy animal, info animal? So that's where we're at in terms of understanding a visualization. If you want any more information on visualizing type in the objective personality system using my baseline, leave a comment. I'm sure we'll get back to this in a future episode, going over theory, structure, and application / practice. But right now we're doubling back to what are we talking about? Talking about some of the title first tags or something like that. So what are the similarities and differences between animal function temperaments? What are the similarities and differences between animal function temperaments? What are the similarities and differences between animal function temperaments? So I'm thinking about whether or not that means NT consume, ST sleep, SF blast, and NF play. What are the similarities and differences between animal function temperaments? I need a body. You don't get cold. Let me know. And if you're listening, it's too late. Oh, I'm glad you came. Okay, so what are the similarities and differences between animal function temperaments? We're going to pick that back up in our next entry. Entry number on Volume 6, Early Game Rant. Number 7.